Hello and welcome back to the Aapna Reds podcast. As always, bring you the reactions, reviews, and ratings that you expect of a normal podcast, but we bring it with a little added Desi twist to it. Again, this week, Liverpool have had a very successful few games in the past week or so, and we're back as always with Anil to discuss it. Anil, how you doing? Good spirits?
Good. You good? All happy, man. All happy after these results. Ready to go. Ready to go.
They've been treating us well this week. Definitely treating us well with the results. So we'll get straight into it.
Taking us the mixes this week.
Oh, no. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. We're going to have a little to cuss them out for at this point. That's the problem. So, yeah, we'll start early on. West Ham
don't worry. I'll still find something.
You always do that. It's typical. Right. West Ham game. So, great start. Obviously, West Ham, we know that they've been...
Well, we say great start, but I don't know. Do you think it was...
It's
one
of those...
They had a few chances that they could have put away.
They did have a chance, but I think in comparison to our starts in the past few weeks, I mean, it was nice to not concede early on. You know, what did you make of it?
I think Anfield is a different... Anfield is a different ball game, isn't it? I don't think you can take much from an Anfield game. At Anfield, we expect to beat everyone, and everyone comes there scared. And it's not the same as the away games. The away games give you a bit of apprehension. I'm like, shit, what's going to happen? But Anfield, you're always confident. But yeah, good start with the goal. But they had some chances, man. They had some early door chances that if they put away, it would have been a completely different game.
Yeah,
completely different game.
Well, Alisson Becker made the best saves that we've seen in recent weeks. That Bowen one, like you said early on, you know. What can we say? Because every time I look at him, he's just such a jata, man. I look at him and think, you're such a jata. And he saves us every time.
He can't do anything wrong, can he? He can't do anything wrong. I mean, even if he lets a goal in, it's not his fault. It's someone else's fault. He's just class. And you know what? I know there's all that talk about Arsenal keepers and who's number one, who's not number one. There is, without a shadow of a doubt, I would say who's one of the number one goalkeepers in the Premiership, and that is Alisson. Too good.
You'd argue worldwide, you know, how well he's been playing in the past few seasons as well, you know. Yeah, perfect.
He froze on.
I know, it's going a bit slow today, but it's all right. We'll keep it coming fast. So, yes, Liverpool.
I apologise, man. It's my mobile data. No internet. I'm proper Desi today.
All the time, man.
I'm new to the internet game. I don't know what it is. First time in the country. Well, internet ki hunda. You know what I mean?
They got better internet back in the bend, bro. You saw it out, man.
We'll try it. We'll try our best, man. We'll get through it.
So yes, clean sheets as well. We score first, Salah gets a penalty, but it seems to be a recurring theme, as you mentioned, that Liverpool seem to concede only one clean sheet in the past fixtures that we've had. What's going wrong there? Because we keep saying it's defence, but every single person that comes into the defence, you know, it seems to either do a good job, but still manages to concede. We had our best defence, I'd argue, despite obviously having Gomez a right back, you know, but still, Liverpool didn't manage to keep a clean sheet. What's going wrong there then?
You know what, though? If you watch the games, and it's been like this all through the season and every single competition and every single game, we are a team of two halves. I think we've mentioned it on the last pod as well. Yeah. They come out a different animal second half. Every game we've played, I don't know what Klopp is saying to them. And we even mentioned it last time. Love to be a fly on the wall. What does he say to them? Because they come out second half a completely different machine. Like, you're looking at them playing first half thinking, what are you lot doing? Do you even know how to play football? And then they come out second half and they're the Liverpool that we support, you know what I mean? They're coming out, they're banging in goals, they're creating chances left, right and centre. Nunes should be like top goal scorer for the season within the first 5 games. He just can't score for no, but he's creating chances though. I mean, you know what I mean? He's doing something right. Our team is a different team. It's like watching two different teams, two different halves. Why do we start slow though? That's what I'm still trying to get my head around. I don't understand what it is. I don't know. What is it? Is it the mixture from the night before?
There must be something. They seem to be weighed down a bit.
You know
I
what I
know,
mean?
man. There's too many
Go in at
routines. That's
half
what.
time, they give it ulti at half
Yeah,
time,
that's
get
what it's
all
got to
this
be.
all it out of the system.
You never know. Had a
God
Hodge
knows
more
what's going
last
on,
time at
man.
half time, got it all sorted out in the system, but definitely at the start of each game, we just really struggled to find a grip. And I think we said last time we don't know whether it's in the defence, in the midfield, and I think at this point he's got to try and find a solution because if you're in a tough, close game, it's good to come back and all. It's seasons we've seen previously where we came back from many games, but at some point you get found out and it becomes a task too
I
big.
think
So
that's the problem. We're gonna
yeah,
get found out at some point.
yeah,
Like I said, the West Ham game, we could have quite easily have been
yeah,
2-3 goals down with the
yeah,
chances. Antonio's miss was ridiculous.
yeah.
How are you going to be a Premiership footballer and miss that?
After you've been
Not even hit
talking
the target.
all week as well, made it even worse.
I
Talking
know,
about,
yeah.
I know, it just wasn't what he
Was it
needed. Wasn't what he needed.
icing on the cake for us, though? To be fair,
Tell me
but you
about
know
it.
what, man? It's like Liverpool. Liverpool are acting like these. Like when you go to the night before wedding party, everyone
Yeah,
gets absolutely smashed,
yeah, yeah.
and then you wake up in the morning
They're
and
just like
you need some elder to come along and give everyone your beard in it and say, "Get up, man! What you doing? We got a wedding to
that's
go
what
to."
we're
And I
doing on
think
here.
that's what Klopp does at half time. They just come out.
Yeah,
And that's it, man. You know what? Maybe they're listening to us at halftime thinking, yo, these boys know
sorting it
what they're
out.
on about.
It's got to be something has to be happening
That's
at
it,
half
man.
time.
That's it.
And like you said, we need to figure out what it
Yeah,
is
man.
because it's game changer. Really is game changer. So yeah, like you mentioned, game of
That's
two
it, man.
halves. Second half we come
Always.
back out again and we managed to get the goals that we needed. Mr. McAllister, the man they call Gary around the building, puts the ball on absolute plate for Nunes. He misses a few, but he can't miss that because it's a ball and a half. What are you making of McAllister in this midfield? Because he keeps changing his role a little bit, but he still produces the same quality every time.
You know what, man? I think he's trying to turn him into that holding midfield player, isn't he? I think
Yeah,
he doesn't want him further up, and I think he's doing a great job where he is.
yeah.
His passing is ridiculous. You know
So
what I
much
mean?
of
He's
Xavi
found a few.
Alonso again, honestly.
Yeah, he's found a few passes that are like, whoa, you know what?
Yeah.
Where's that come from? But he's doing it consistently. What a signing! I think I mentioned this to you last time as well. I wasn't expecting much from him, thinking that he's won everything there is to win on an international level.
Yeah.
What motivations he gonna have? You know what I mean? So, but he has come and he has turned this
Yeah.
team around. Him and one other man, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, that pass. Oh, how do you even see that? Because none of them were moving. Nunes wasn't looking at that. Nunes had to obviously do what he did, but Nunes had to get onto the ball. But for him to make that pass, he must have seen that in his head before Nunes even thought, "Oh, this is what I'm going to do." That's the kind of player that makes that kind of pass. You know what I mean? These they always say players with vision. They make
Mhm.
passes that the strikers haven't even seen yet. They make the
Yeah.
strikers move, and that was that kind of pass, wasn't it? It was amazing
It was
pass,
incredible.
amazing.
And it was beautiful to see that, again, we managed to get ahead in the second half. And then what was even more beautiful was that Diogo Jota, the man I keep
Your
campaigning and
boy,
saying, he
your
is the
boy.
man. He is the man. He puts the icing on the cake and manages to put us 3-1
He's
up.
your boy, in it. I
Everyone, I
think
mean, he's
we're in
got,
competition.
I know,
We're in
Nunes and Jota
competition. I'm a
just,
Nunes boy. You're a Jota boy, and I think both of them are producing at the moment.
they're just firing. They are firing. And the worst thing is they have more chances than the ones they actually put away. Imagine, the places that Liverpool would be, the places that they
Yeah,
would be if they just put, even if it was 50% of the chances that they just struggle to put away. But it's a luxury that we have at Liverpool with the attacking
yeah,
sort of quartet that we've got at
yeah.
times, and it really showed in the Liverpool game, some of the passing. And, thankfully, don't know about you, but we come away with a 3-1 win, relatively unscathed, opportunities for West Ham to sort of worry us. But like City, we come back with a comeback goal and we end up winning the game. So overall, thoughts on the game? Happy, unhappy?
Overall, we were the better team. We probably had more
Yeah,
chances. We probably did get lucky with a couple of their chances that they missed and that they didn't put away. But that's every game, isn't it? Every game you're
yeah.
going to have some chances that you don't. Bowen's goal, though, that I mean, we haven't mentioned it really.
Stop,
Bowen's goal
stop.
annoyed me, man, and it
Yeah,
was it's your boy Van Dijk.
It's not my boy at
I-
this point. He's our boy, our captain.
Nah, man. How are you gonna let someone come from behind you, head the ball in front of your leg? Like your leg's about 70 foot long. Like how is that happening? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. I can't believe Bowen got in that. Fair play to him. The goal was class. He scored. But if it wasn't for that defensive mistake, or even if he just got in the way a little bit, even if he just took one step to the side, Bowen couldn't have got around him. But he's lost. He's lost that. I suppose not vision, but he's lost that control.
Yeah,
People aren't scared to attack him anymore. But again, that was the only downside of that performance, I suppose. Letting that goal in could have been nice having a
yeah.
clean sheet. But other than that, yeah, good man. Some of the chances we made. Mo Salah, man, what a player. That geezer just does not stop. There's no stopping him.
I
No
know he
stopping him.
is magical. He is magical.
And where have we found Soboslai from? Jesus. This kid is.
I'll leave. You know what? I'll leave the floor to you. Just tell us about Szoboszlai. Tell us about your feelings
Man,
about it.
I swear, man, if I was gay, I'd have posters up of him in my
I
room.
think even when you're straight,
Don't
he
even want
just
to
does
mention
things
what would
to
be
you.
happening.
He does things to you. He's beautiful.
The geezer is just whatever he's touching at the moment is gold, man. I swear he is that. We'll come on to the goal against Leicester, but Jesus Christ, man,
Yeah,
the amount of passing, the amount of interceptions, the amount of runs and dribbles, the amount of chances created, just everything. They said he was replacing Gerrard, and everyone was like laughing, saying, "Come on, man,
yeah,
you're putting too much pressure on him." But if he carries on the way he's going, he's replaced like for like. And I'm
yeah,
not going to say he's going to end up being a legend like Gerrard, no chance.
yeah.
But in terms of a style of play, you couldn't have asked
Exactly what
for a
he needs.
more ideal player to come in and fill those boots, man. You could not. I mean, there's no bigger praise than that. There's no bigger praise than that. As far as we're concerned, Liverpool players, Gerrard is the one. So
Hmm.
if you're comparing someone, a new player to Gerrard, you know he's doing something right.
Yeah. I think what makes it 10 times better is when you consider, Naby Keita getting the 8 shirt and being sort of coined as the Gerrard replacement, as the prodigy. And he just didn't deliver, unfortunately. And it's nice to see that now we've got someone in that midfield where it almost feels like we have that old school Liverpool midfield. Like we mentioned, McAllister seems like he's got a bit of Xabi Alonso in him.
Alonso, yeah.
Soboslai has just got that Gerrard swagger about him. And I think it just remains for that last midfield spot to be nailed by somebody. And I think, it's really being called out. I know sort of Linda's talked about how Liverpool are desperate to have Thiago back, but he's going to be fighting a really uphill battle when he returns because, some of the players playing in that position, and not even getting a chance in other positions. It shows that is real competition on midfield now.
Well, you might as well add one. You might as well add one more back in the day player in there. Bajcetic has reminded me a little bit of Mascherano.
You reckon?
Yeah, man, he's got a dogged little fight in
Yeah,
him.
it's
Every
got a
time
little
he
dog in
goes into the ball, he's a bit of a feisty one, isn't he?
yeah.
Challenges he goes in for, he's getting lucky with a couple of challenges. He got away with a couple of yellows. I think give him a season. I think he'll be a great holding midfielder. Maybe then we can push Mac and Sob in front of him.
Forward,
He needs a bit more experience though. He needs a bit. But
yeah,
I am massively impressed by him. Thiago won't. I don't think he's going to suit our team every single game. If we're playing
no,
against a team like West Ham, I don't think he's going to do much against a team like West Ham. But let's say you're playing on the weekend, we're playing Tottenham. I
yeah,
think a game like that, he would make a massive difference. So maybe that's what Klopp's looking at. But then we got Gravenberg as well, man.
yeah.
You know
Magical
what?
player.
He has turned out to be a nice little buy as well because he's not playing too bad, is he?
No, not at all. And he's getting the chances and the opportunities to play. And even, I think we'll move on to the Leicester game now because I feel like a lot of the players that we were talking about really did sort of have their mega moments.
Shine.
But
Yeah,
just
yeah,
before
yeah.
that, I feel like we have to talk about our Mixie man of the match for the West Ham game. I don't know before that as well. No Jabir this week. I think we just got to let him
Well,
off.
I'm going to Jabir to Van Dijk, man. I think he's
know
had a
you're
few
going to
Jabir off me this season.
He's Taz Lal now. You need to give him a chance, man. He ain't recovering week after week from these. Honestly.
Who else can I give it to, man? There's no one else on the team that makes mistakes as much as he does.
No, you just gonna have to
But you
complain
can't
to
give him
somebody else.
a chip here for one mistake, man. Other than that, he had a good game. Other than that, he had a good game. But if I was gonna pick someone, yeah, Van Dijk could get my chip here again. You know what? He's like that child that you just get used to slapping in it all the time. Even if they don't do anything wrong, it must have been you. It must have been you. So Van Dijk gets my chip here. You're not giving it to anyone.
I'll let them off this week. I'm feeling a bit soft, feeling a bit
Yeah.
kind. I think it was the fact that West Ham are a good team, and I was mildly concerned that it wasn't going to end too well for us. But I predicted
No, you're
a
gonna be the
draw,
favourite
and
Marcy
listen,
this week, aren't you? You're gonna be that favourite Marcy that doesn't say anything to anyone.
I'll give some GGI in the corner. They'll be happy with me.
That's
Give them
it.
advice. They'll be all right. Have a great time.
Well, the man of the match is hard, man. I'll let you go first. You go mixing man of the match first, then I'll.
Match, man of the match. I think it's a real toss up at this point because I think that McAllister is, for me, considering how he performed the week before and sort of seeing the sort of struggles that he's had in the past few weeks when it comes to like sitting in that midfield position and sort of having to deal with getting his legs and sort of getting back onto track and pace of the game. To pick out the passes that he did and the assist for Nunes. I think for me, he put in a good shift, and obviously the praise will go to the goal scorers. But I think he sat in that position just that we've been begging for someone to sit in that position and just cover the ground like he's been doing. So I think I'll take him for a mixed grill. Get to know him, let him settle into the team, and get him some a jardy fish.
Yeah, it's not. To be fair, I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with it. Yeah, I mean, the pass, the passes, the the control of the midfield, just everything he's doing so far is so good. The only thing I would add is we keep forgetting about our Mo Salah, man.
I know it's
We
difficult.
don't give him the praise he
I know
needs
it's because
and
we're
the
so
praise
used to
he
being like
deserves,
when
man. He's just
Salah.
he's
Yeah,
a, you know what? That's what I mean. He does stuff that is just unbelievable, and we just expect it.
yeah.
So I might take him for a Middle Eastern kebab,
It's gonna have to be.
whilst you take a Macca for a mixed grill. So
I'll
I
have
think
to. We'll
those two together.
split up for the evening, split the tab as
That's
well.
it.
Be all right.
That's it, man. We'll meet up for a double date some other time.
I thought you want Soberslide. Make up your mind, man. You go with the
No man,
team. Eh?
he's more of a dream at the moment. He's out of my league.
Well, you never know. If you keep at this, you never know how close you might get.
Man, the geezer. Oh, I'll have to show my wife him and see what she thinks of him.
Yeah,
I'll get her take on his looks
it
for
might
the
be a good
next step.
idea. You might need to know who a competition is before
That's
things
it,
get a bit too
man. That's
serious.
it. That's it.
That's the one.
Got a wedding next
Yes.
weekend. I might take him.
Well, you're gonna. I mean, I'll be worried if you sat down and you look across and Soberslide's accidentally there doing the live on with you. So be
Well,
worried for me.
I'd have to carry on sitting down if I was going with Soberslide. To be fair, I think if I stood up, I'd embarrass myself. Wouldn't want anyone to see, how excited I was.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Right, we'll move on. We'll move on. We'll move on to the Leicester game, which I don't know if it's a
Go
good
on.
idea because of how excited he was in the game. So this could have an
Oh man.
adverse effect here. But yes, same again. Rotated team, Carabao Cup. Not everyone's favourite cup competition, but to be honest with you, football's football at the end of the day. And I think it's even better when you get a result. Obviously, we expected a rotated team, and that's what we got. A good opportunity to see some of the young lads. But I think the
Yeah,
biggest
man.
surprise, Mr. Curtis Jones, the man of the moment in the past few
Mm,
weeks, starts at right back and he gets a
I
captain's
know.
armband.
Captain's
I'm not going to
armband,
lie,
man.
I was not the biggest fan of Curtis Jones. I think he was living off the goal he scored against Everton a few seasons ago. Um, and I think, sort of the back end of last season and, the going away to the Euros, winning the Euros, scoring in the final, he just seems to be a completely different player, playing with confidence and happy to just do a role everywhere. What did you think of Curtis yesterday?
You've always got to be chuffed for the local lads when they get the armbands. That must like number one, it's got to be like a dream come true. So fair play to him. Number two, the pressure you must be under when you've got that armband on and you're playing for Liverpool. So for
Yeah,
him to play the way he plays under that pressure at such a young age, you've got to give him credit. I'm in your boat. I am not a massive fan of Curtis Jones, not because I don't think he's good. I just don't think he does enough that makes him look good. And that's
yeah,
probably not a nice thing to criticize someone on. But I suppose when you want praise, you've got to do the stuff that everyone notices, and you've got
Yeah,
to add goals to your game. You've got to. I mean, we know he's got the doggedness where he's going into tackles and the gig impress that Jurgen likes. He's like one of the ones that actually does it, doesn't stop. He's dribbling at the moment. I've seen him a few times trying to dribble. He hasn't quite got that skill to the level he wants, because I think he does like going for a little run every now and again. And his assists, obviously, when he starts putting a few more assists in, then he's going to become a bit more
yeah,
famous amongst the fans and the pundits and everybody. But yeah, you can't knock him. And Klopp's playing him because
yeah.
he trusts him, and you won't make him captain for that game. It's a big game.
Very
It's a
big
big
game.
game. And I'm glad that he made the rotations and he put all those players in, because we got to see what they're like. And to be fair, if they're going to make mistakes like they did early doors, and if they're going to play shit early doors, it's a game like Leicester that you want them to do it.
Yeah,
And what I liked about Klopp, though, was he kept faith with them. He kept faith with them, and he let them play, and he let them come back, and he let them, gain that bit of confidence. To hang on, we don't need the big boys to come on all the time to save our asses.
yeah.
Although they always do towards the end of the game. But I like the fact that he just said, "Yo, go on, same again, halftime talk."
Half
You know what
time.
I
Yeah.
mean? What did he say? Said something. He must have
We
spoken
need
Dutch to the
to
Dutch
find out
lads, and them lot
somehow.
just came out like on
No,
fire.
we need to find out somehow. I don't know what it is, but he's got a skill, and we need to find out what it is.
I've got a bug, man. I've got a bug that I made a long time ago. I can put it in the. If we can get to the changing room, we can whack it in there,
Let's go
hide it
book a
somewhere,
stadium tour.
and
Let's
then
go book
listen
a
to the
stadium tour,
conversation.
and then we'll just stick it on the wall
But I
there.
wonder what it is. I wonder if you just say again.
Book a stadium tour. We can stick a fly on the wall. Then it'll be all right.
That's it, man. An actual fly in it with a bug
That's
in
it.
it. That'll be the one.
Sorted.
I wonder if he just rinses them. I wonder if he just goes German on them and literally just absolutely rips them to shreds. And they're just like,
You never know.
did he just
I
say?
feel like he wouldn't do that. He does it on the sidelines.
And they
As
come
in,
out just scared.
yeah, you don't know. I think sometimes it's a bit probably motivational, a bit loving, but other times I wouldn't want to be in there when he's fuming. I just feel like he
Nah,
shouts
I
about the
know,
officials
man.
quite a bit.
Yeah,
That'd be
like
about it.
is his face going that
Yeah,
look that he gives to the
yeah.
referees when he's in their face. He doesn't
You
wear
don't
his
want to be on
glasses
the phone with
anymore. He used
that.
to look a bit more scary with his glasses.
Yeah, no. He's a bit softer now, isn't he?
Well, he's had his teeth done because Bobby Firmino
Yeah,
introduced him to his teeth
yeah,
specialist, and he's had his eyes done, so he's got no glasses on. So it's a different Klopp now, isn't he? He's not as scary looking as when he was at Dortmund. So I don't know. He must be doing
Klopp
something
Mama's
right though,
looking
because I
good.
have to say again.
Klopp Mama's looking good, man.
Mama's had an upgrade, man. He's had an upgrade. The team's had an upgrade as well. But yeah, the game. Back to the game, man. The game was. I watched it. And I did think first half. Wake up! Come on, wake up! You're playing like you're an away team,
Yeah,
and you're not playing like you're Liverpool. So I know we were the away team, but we're Liverpool, and we're playing Championship side Leicester. We should be dominating them, which we did. Don't get me wrong; the game was complete dominance in terms of possession, chances, but it just wasn't happening, was it? With the goals and the chances,
yeah.
and you got my boys again, Nunes. No, actually, no. I'm thinking about the last game now. I'm
No,
thinking
you're
about
getting
last game.
confused.
Yeah,
It was
I'm
Mr.
getting
Cody
confused. Sorry.
Gakpo.
No, it was
Yeah.
Gakpo. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about the
Yeah.
last game. We haven't talked about that one,
Oh,
but
you
anyway,
need
yeah,
to
he
stop
can talk
having
about.
stop funny about Nunes here, man. Nunes and
You know what, man?
Soboslai are.
He's always. I'm such a big fan of his. I'm always thinking about him. I think Soboslai's got some competition.
He might do with the way you're running. Yeah, so Gakpo gets that goal. Obviously, like you mentioned, sort of game of two halves. We fought in the first half, couldn't really get it in, but it was a lovely goal from Gakpo. And I think what surprised me most, and it's what I've always said, is Jota is our out and out striker. I don't think he works as well as he can off the wing, but when Gakpo sort of does his little dances in the box and he connects things,
Mhm.
it's difficult to sort of deny, especially when it seems like Gakpo's preferred position is the wing, and he said himself it's the wing. But he gets a goal in the box. He just seems to know where the goal is,
Where the
and he just
goal is.
manages to bury it. and he's just a great player to have. And I think Klopp's really keen on him.
Do you know what I was thinking about that goal when I watched it? I thought the defender and the keeper are not thinking he's going to turn and take a shot. And
No,
I don't think anyone else did. So for him
no,
to actually do it that quickly and know where the goal is and, get the goal, he was
yeah,
probably the only one in his head that was thinking, this is what I'm about to do. And I think
hmm
if that was Nunes, he would have looked for a pass. If that was
yeah,
Jota, he would have looked for a pass.
yeah,
So, you're saying Jota's our out and out striker. Um, you know what? If we got someone with a bit of composure
mm,
uh, in the centre,
hmm
like Gakpo, you never know. You got
very true.
Diaz
Very,
and Salah coming in from the sides
yeah,
because that's what I said. I think that's what I said last pod as well. We're
yeah,
missing someone with that composure in the centre like Firmino used to give us.
hmm
I think that's what we're missing. With the
yeah,
amount of chances Jota's getting, the amount of chances Nunes is getting, and the amount of
yeah,
chances now Gakpo is getting, if one of them starts clicking, gets a bit of composure in front of goal and starts whacking a few goals in, then we've got our new front three. So we've already got
yeah,
our two. We
yeah,
know that our two on the wings are 100% guaranteed first team players. That first number 9 spot is still up for grabs.
yeah. I think there's a lot of competition, like you mentioned. They're scoring every single game, which makes it even harder for Klopp as well. But another point I think it's worth talking about is Mr. Ryan Gravenberch that we mentioned. I thought he had an outstanding game. And even in the Europa League, he played well. And I think it's quite interesting that obviously the Dutch link up as well to get the goal for Gakpo. Do you think that's having an impact on our team when we look at the likes of Chelsea, who just signed players from everywhere and anywhere, and they don't seem to be gelling, and the squad's got a bit of trouble. Whereas Liverpool, they seem to have the South American boys. They obviously have the English bunch. They have the European lot as well. Endo's probably sort of trying to find his way in the group. But you think that has an impact when we think about how close the team was before and how it used to be?
Now, massively, massively. You're bringing in a player that's got a couple of friends in the team already.
Yeah,
They're going to settle in straight away. They're having meals at night together. They're going out together. Their wives are probably hanging out together if they've got wives. All that kind of thing makes a massive difference. Massive difference. You know what I mean? Just think about uni days. I
yeah,
went to
very,
uni when I went uni. I had a couple of my local mates that lived down the road from me go with me,
yeah,
and it just makes it so much more comfortable, and it makes
yeah,
it so much more not like you're all on your own and you got to learn a new world. You've got someone with you that you can basically share that stress with, I suppose. But yeah, he is slotted into the team amazingly. And you know what it is? I think at the moment he's still in that phase where because he's brand new, he's playing like he's got a point to prove.
yeah,
So he's probably overplaying at the moment. When he starts settling in and he becomes like a mainstay in the team, he probably won't be as consistent as he has been at the moment. But at the moment, he's all over the show. He wanted to
mhm,
go forward, looking for passes.
yeah,
I mean, was it Diaz? That pass to Diaz
yeah.
in the other game where he literally pinged it right to him, and then it was tapping. Well, not tapping, but it was right on Diaz's foot. I mean, what more do you want? What more can you ask for a signing?
No,
And what was he? What was he? Felt 30 million. How much was he?
yeah, that's 30, 40 million.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is nothing these days, isn't it? And
Definitely.
what, he's only 20, 22,
Yeah,
23?
young lad, young lad.
That is class. You know what? Fair play to Klopp, man. And plus, you know what? There's a Klopp effect as well. He
Yeah,
always tends to turn these young players that may not have been brilliant at their old club into, 100 million plus players. So,
yeah,
Soboslai's already 100 plus. Max 100 plus. Salah's 200 plus. Gravenberg's already doubled his price.
yeah.
Ben Doak is probably worth 2 million now. He's probably worth 1 million before.
And now we have no money still. So welcome to
And then we got
Liverpool. That's
no,
the
even though we've
problem.
just literally today had some injection of money from some
Yeah.
investor.
So if we're doing the Punjabi comp, as always, you just don't know where the money goes. It's going to some uncle in the background, the black
It's
guy in
the
the
committee
background.
fund, isn't it? It's the committee
Yeah.
fund that the Gurdwara.
It's something.
That's
It
what
is
it
a
is.
community fund. You just don't know where the money's going. It's coming from everywhere, but you don't know where it's going.
Everybody's giving their DAS bond, building fund. You know what I mean? Everyone's giving their money, but no one knows where it's going.
I know. But everyone seems to be happy to put in, and it's putting out great results, so you can't really complain. But we'll move on to the goal that's got everyone talking and the goal that put us 2-1 up. I was absolutely speechless at the goal. I've been
Jesus.
begging for seasons and seasons since Oxlade-Chamberlain unleashed that cannon against Man City.
Man
I just
City.
wanted a midfielder to shoot. And I'm so glad that Dominic Szoboszlai has come in and he's taken that role because, wow, what a goal.
What a
I don't
goal,
know how
man.
you could sum it up apart from screaming Gerrard at it because it was just so similar to the goals he used to score for us. What do you think?
Oh, man. I mean, first there was his goal. Was it against Bournemouth at Anfield?
Villa, the volley one, yeah.
Villa, Thiago-esque. Now there's
Yeah,
this bullet. He's got Thiago in him. He's got
yeah,
Gerrard in him. What? How much more praise can we give this guy? And he nearly had a second one. He said the
yeah,
other one as well.
yeah.
It didn't quite connect as well as it should have. But this kid, man, you know what I'm worried about? And I don't want to, man, I don't even want to put this out there. What if he gets injured? What are we gonna do then?
Cry, mate. Just call the season off.
I
Then you have
know.
to deal with. But then I think this is the thing: is obviously if you lose him, it's obviously a difficult task. But the players behind him and in that midfield position seem to still be pulling their own weight when you think
True.
about it.
True.
Obviously, he's a tough sort of act to follow, but Gravenberch's playing well. Bacetic, when he came on yesterday, obviously he was playing a different role, but he was still just playing
He was good,
out of
man.
his skill. Jones, Elliott
He
playing
was
in
good.
midfield as well has been incredible. Gakpo's tried to slot in there, he struggled a bit, but the
Yeah.
understudies are just doing so well. So God forbid that happens, but long live Dominic Szoboszlai because he's just killing the game, like you said.
I know. What do you think of Doki?
I was really impressed with him. I think early doors, it's one of those players where he's got that electric turn of pace. He's good on the ball, but
Pace.
yeah, it's that final product, isn't it? You just need him to
You know
sort of,
what? You know what you mentioned earlier about Chelsea and the players not linking. I think he's
yeah,
got a bit of that in him. He's really young. He's probably come up. I've
yeah,
watched a couple of behind the scenes videos on
yeah,
YouTube, and like he's just sitting there really quietly. Doesn't look like he's quite getting the
gel,
banter and not. I think there's a little bit when he starts. I suppose when he comes out of his shell a little bit,
yeah, it'd be good for
he's
him.
got some electric pace. He had a couple of chances. He's
So
quite easy.
obviously,
Like I said, I think
won us a
he's a good
penalty that
salary
was,
replacement if he
yeah.
learns how to score.
Yeah, I think he'd be great. I think he gives me Nico Williams sort of style of player down that wing in terms of he likes to cut back in, he likes to try and
Yeah,
beat a
yeah,
defender, put a cross in. It's just
yeah.
about final play, and I think Liverpool sometimes struggle with getting numbers in the box, and I think he'll learn, eventually that if you can't get a cross in, you just have to try and have a shot and try and make something out of the situation. But like you said, it's a thing of
Yeah.
time.
Well, this is it. Mo Salah can have about 50 shots in a game and score
Yeah,
one, and everyone will say he's the best player in the world.
yeah.
If Ben Doak has 50 shots in a game and scores
So
one,
what
they'll be
you
like,
do?
"Wow."
Yeah,
So I think that's going to come with experience, isn't it? And the more he becomes a mainstay as well in the team, the more they'll give him the opportunities, and the more confident he'll get taking some
yeah.
shots. But
Wow,
Kwanzaa,
I know.
wow,
Wow, you
an
just.
assist.
I know, and it was a beautiful one. Just it was like
I
Matip, but
know.
in his younger days, just steaming through. He
But he
is.
looked
He's
up.
magic.
He looked
I
up as
know.
well. He found that pass. He weren't even just a ball in a box. He looked up and what? And then your boy. And then your boy.
Get that one out, wherever it is. Get that one.
What
He
a
is
finish.
every
What a
time when you
finish.
need him. Like this is what I mean. Where I think he struggles on the wing because he hasn't got that electric pace over
Yeah.
sustained yardage, and I think he struggles with that. But in the box, he just finds a way to score a goal. Either find the ball to someone else or score a goal. He is brilliant. And that finish. Obviously, Nunes did it last season against Real Madrid, and Jota's done that. That's not the first time he's done that. He's
No,
done
no,
it
no.
many
He's
times with Liverpool. Yeah,
just to think that quick and to know where the
yeah,
goal is just class.
I know.
Class.
But
And
Kwanzaa,
again,
beautiful.
we are very, very lucky with our strikers that we've
Yeah,
got players that can, on their day can score all sorts of goals.
yeah.
But Kwanzaa, what a defender to be coming up through the ranks.
Beautiful. And it just seems that the academy is really getting the players
Man,
right, and I think it goes under the radar because it's not the level of Man City, it's not the level of Chelsea or even United, but the Liverpool sort of train that they've got going on, they just come in and it's crazy to think that the players that have come through, the odd few, you could sort of say I haven't really gelled in. You know, Callum Gordon obviously gets an injury, but he came in and still did a job. If you think Reece Williams came through and managed to play out of his skin for months, they come through and they deliver, which is a rare thing when you think everywhere else, you know, they get always a youngster, he's on his debut, give him a chance. But Liverpool, they just come through and they play their role. And I think it gets forgotten and sort of not talked about enough.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think we got to give a bit of credit to Klopp as well, because I think he's with competitions like that, and even if it's like 10 minutes at the end of a game, Premiership game, and he brings someone
Yeah,
on, he does give them. And I think we forget. I mean, not that we're footballers and we've been playing on that level, but coming on, you could just imagine coming on for Liverpool
yeah,
in a Premiership game or a European game or even a Carabao Cup game.
yeah,
Just imagine that feeling in front of all those fans. First time you've ever played. I mean, five-a-side football. When I play five-a-side and the game starts, I start feeling a bit nervous just then.
wow,
And that's
get
just like
chills.
10 lads that I know. Imagine 10, 20, 30,000 people
Yeah,
watching you. So I think what Klopp does good is he does bring them on for just even a few minutes,
yeah,
just to experience what it feels like to be on the pitch,
definitely.
even if you get a touch or don't get a touch. And I think he does that very well. And with the young lads we got now, he's doing it really well. Kwanzaa, obviously, we need him more than he probably would have wanted to use him,
Yeah,
but which is brilliant, because I genuinely think this geezer is class,
it's really
and I
good.
think he's the future for our defence.
Definitely.
So you never know, man. Early doors, he might even be future captain. I mean, defensive players are always
Throwing it
more,
all out here, aren't
you
you?
know,
All the young players
um,
get the captaincy armband.
they're a bit more controlling from the back, and they see everything, and he's a local lad. You know what I mean? You're more likely to become a captain if you're a local lad and you're more of a controlling figure. And if he steps into Van Dijk's shoes, who knows? It's early doors. Don't get me wrong. He's got a few people in front of him that are going to be captain, but he's still a young lad as well, so he's got years to go. But one for the future.
Well, there we go. Came out 3-1 winners against Leicester. We didn't really talk much about Leicester, but you know, I think they played a really good game. Obviously, they get the goal early on. They are obviously sort of aren't the same team that we faced, you know, a few seasons ago in the cup, but they were still, you know, good opposition. And I think Liverpool started to put a good performance out. But by beating them, we go into the next round, and I believe we've got Bournemouth in the next fixture,
Mhm.
last round of 16, with Man City going out as well. Do you think this is another trophy that Liverpool should have their eye on this season?
Yeah, 100%. I don't see why he shouldn't do what he's been doing, which is start with a B team or such, half a B team, and keep the big guns on the bench just in case it doesn't go to plan. I think he
Yeah.
needs. I think he'll do that with most of the competitions.
Mhm.
Obviously not the Premiership, but he'll do that with most of the other competitions. Uh, and the fact that we've got like Mac and Soboslai and Thiago coming back, and we got Gravenberg, and we got Nunes, and we got Jota, we got Gakpo. All these potentially could be on the bench and coming on as impact players. I think he can do that. So yeah, going forward, I think he's going to do the same thing. Put out a slightly weaker team. I say weaker. I don't want to say weaker because the players that were on the pitch, I did actually think, hang on, they're quite decent players.
Yeah.
But always going to have that bazooka in the background just in case we need it, and blast one off when we're behind or we're drawing at the last few minutes.
It's
So
a
yeah, I'm
luxury.
looking forward to it, man. The more
Definitely.
competitions we're in, the more we get to talk about and the more we get
Yeah.
to watch. So I
Very
hate
true.
I hate managers who don't want to win it. And Klopp wants to win it, but I think he wants it to help develop his team. There's a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
difference between like that. Whereas, Man City, Guardiola was talking about, look, if I have to play, I'll play. That kind of comment makes you feel like, oh, he doesn't really give a crap about the
Yeah.
competition. You don't want that. You want as a fan, you want to watch as many games as possible,
Yeah.
and you want your team to want to win. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to win every competition you're in? And the season when we went to four
Yeah.
finals, I mean, final day of the
Yeah.
season and three cup finals. How good was that season?
Yeah.
All right, the results might not have
Great.
been what we wanted, but
Yeah.
it was a good season to watch.
And you were there all the way as well, which made it even better. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So we're on a good
That's
winning
it.
streak at the
You
moment.
got something to watch.
Yeah. On
Yeah,
a good
man.
winning streak at the moment. We're doing well, doing really well. And now we look forward again to a heavy, heavy fixture. They seem to be coming thick and fast now against Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, North London derby last weekend, and they came out with a good result against an Arsenal team, which were close to the title last season. Mr. Ange Postecoglou, former Celtic man, has come in. We know that he's got some Liverpool admiration in him. What are you making of him? What do you feel towards the man?
I love him. I absolutely love him. I've got no affiliation with Tottenham whatsoever. Never. The only other time I liked Tottenham was when Harry Redknapp was there, because I do like Harry Redknapp as well. Could listen to him talk about his old stories all day long. But Postecoglou's got the same kind of aura. You can listen to him talk. When he talks, you can tell he's not bullshitting. He's
Yeah,
literally just saying what's on his mind. And I watched
definitely.
his interview with Gary Lineker the other day. He went through his history and what he's done, and obviously no one knew who the hell he was
Yeah,
until he got to Celtic. And
yeah,
even when he was at Celtic, not a lot of people knew who he was. And when he come to Tottenham, even the Tottenham fans were thinking, "Who's this guy?"
yeah,
But yeah, I think I've got more admiration for him after he mentioned he was a Liverpool fan.
yeah.
That
Wow.
always helps. Always helps. Always helps. That's a bit weird though, isn't it? Don't you reckon? As a manager of the team that you're about to play, who on interview has blatantly said he's a Liverpool fan, and obviously he's a Tottenham fan now, he's a manager, but how does that work? How does
It's a
that work?
difficult one, isn't it? We've seen it before where players have, said that their
Players
fan
do it. I understand players, but I've never heard a manager.
just shows that he's a completely different man, isn't it? He's special. I think that the thing is that you can tell that that's how much passion he has for the game as well. He's obviously been there, done it everywhere, and really sort of
Yeah.
learned football from different continents where you wouldn't even consider football even being sort of a place, if you get what I mean. So to have that passion for football, it'd be difficult not to have that love for Liverpool when he's grown up and he's seen the
Mm.
great teams, and he's obviously an admirer of the stadium, the atmosphere. So I think, like you said, it is a bit strange to be mentioning it before you're playing them in a game, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like I think it's a respect thing at the same time, and it's nice to hear that from opposition managers as well.
But this game now, with him as a manager, the way they've been playing, the way they recently just played against Arsenal and come back from being goals down, is not as straightforward as you would normally think when
It's
we play Tottenham. Because I've
yeah,
heard interviews with Frank Lampard, and when they're talking about Tottenham, and they were just talking about how many goals we're going to get, not whether you'd win or not.
yeah,
You know
very
what I
true.
mean? So I think little bit of that little bit of aura of we're going to beat them, just how much we're going to beat them by. I don't think that's there. So this is a tough one. It's away. If it was at Anfield, I'd be a lot more confident. If it was obviously after a defeat from Arsenal, then it would have been a different conversation.
Yeah,
If they hadn't quite clicked, then it would have been a different conversation. But at the moment, Tottenham are like same kind of position as us, challenging
yeah,
top four. They're probably one of the likely ones to get top four.
yeah,
Playing good football. Son, Madison,
yeah,
they are playing out of their skins. Harry Kane's gone. Everyone thought they were going to be a worse team without him, but they're actually playing better as a team.
yeah.
Um, the only plus side I can see is if Richarlison's playing, uh, whether we can rile him up, get him
Yeah, I
sent off, or get the crowds on our back. You know what I mean? Get the players on our side by get that bit of anger. Um, yeah, man, it's a tough one. I don't know what you reckon.
I think it's gonna be a really tough game. Like we mentioned, I think it's a point that we'll talk about, a bit more now. Is we've seen in the past few seasons how tight the league is and how tight it is in margins when it comes to top four and competitions like that. And it's the games against the top six where we've really struggled in the past few seasons and not gotten the points that we need. And I think this is the game where you need to set the tone early doors. Obviously, got a draw to Chelsea, first game of the season. At the time we looked at it and thought, that it's a good point. But when you look at Chelsea now, you think, wow, were
Was
they
it a good
actually
thing?
that
Yeah,
good?
exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you keep going through the season, you look back and you think, well, that's 2 points that you already lost there when you look at the grand scheme of things. And I think if you want to put a statement out there and you want to sort of nail it that you're up there with the contenders, you've got to do one better than Arsenal, and I think you have to beat Spurs and you have to get a result. It's going to be extremely difficult. We can't afford to go down early because I think they are good enough to sit back and just manage to defend us out for the rest of the game. So we can't have a sloppy start, but it's got
How
to
do we
be.
stop? How do we stop Madison? Because he's pulling all the strings at the moment. What do you
Well,
reckon?
the only thing is he's got an injury risk, so he may not be in for the game. But
Oh, is
if
he?
he is,
Okay.
so it could be a
Okay.
tough one. But if he is, it's one of those things where he plays a sort of, you need Mac there to do a number on him, where he plays behind the striker, but not as part of the midfield, like sort of a shadow striker role. You get what I mean? Like he's come from the midfield,
Okay.
but moving. So you need that one player sitting deep to do a number on him and just make sure he follows him, like almost like a Ji-sung Park. Just stick on him and just make sure that he doesn't get touch the ball you're on, because he could change
I
the
don't
game.
think Klopp plays like that though.
He
That
doesn't
that would
though.
be a
That,
brilliant tactic. That would be a brilliant tactic. I don't
That's
think Klopp
why
would do
it's
that
just
though.
got to be left to McAllister to do it in the match on his own, and obviously he'd
Yeah,
be
yeah,
helped
yeah.
by the midfield, but that's
I
got to
agree.
be
I agree.
area of the pitch. He can't have the ball outside the box, in and around the box, because he will just find a
Yeah,
pass,
yeah,
and set pieces as well. We
yeah.
can't give
Nah,
away
I can't.
stupid free kicks, because they will
Yeah.
punish us somehow, and that's the last thing you want is being punished because of a cynical foul or something like that. But I think it's a really big game. It's probably the one that I felt a bit getting a bit shaky about it when you think about it. But it's a game we've got to win.
Big challenge, isn't it? A big challenge, which is good because we need that to see how good our team actually is.
Yeah.
What about Trent? Is he back?
I think it could be touch and go. Obviously, I was quite surprised to see that he wasn't anywhere near the Carabao Cup team, even on the bench. I think that tells me a bit more about where his fitness is at this weekend.
Mm.
You normally, if a player's sort of like Van Dijk, for example, he stuck him in, the week before when they were playing in Europe. Sorry, bring him on for the last few, get some energy in the legs. So it's
Yeah.
weird that he wasn't there, but it's one of those. I don't know if he's ready or not, and I think it makes it a difficult choice. But I think Gomez is probably he can do a job down that
Yeah.
wing, but
But
it's
Gomez versus Son. I know
Son,
Son's playing more
Kulusevski,
central now, but his more natural position is like
yeah,
coming from the wing on the left
Kulusevski,
side.
even that Udogie, he breaks forward as well.
Yeah,
So he's got a tough job on his hand. And to be honest, considering that, maybe Trent isn't the one that we need for this game.
yeah, true,
When it comes
true.
to sort of needing that defensive security, you know.
Then you can't deny that he's got that vision, hasn't he? And when he plays, and he seems to be the one that finds Diaz
Yeah,
every single time. And for some, I still don't get it. I don't understand why defenders. Is it me? Are they giving him space, or does he just find space? But it looks like he's got half the pitch when he
yeah,
gets the ball. It
yeah.
just baffles me. Is
I
that the
think it's
one
because
player you do
he's
not want to give time on the
so
ball
deep.
to run at you?
Yeah. So
But
deep. He's
he's going
just
to be big. He's going to be big for us.
yeah.
Salah, obviously. Who do you reckon is going to partner them then up front?
I think this week, obviously, we've seen that in the cup it was Jota. He played a lot of the game, so that tells me that Jota is not going to be the man that's going to be playing up top this week. I think Diaz obviously is nailed on to start, but then it's an interesting call in this midfield because I think he he might bring Gakpo in to start because he's
In
sort of
midfield?
like. I think he might bring Gakpo in. Is the vibe
Even
I'm
though
getting.
Endo's been having like man of the match performances for Japan against Leicester, he was amazing.
I think it's going to be one of those, isn't it? I think Gakpo plays at top, and I think in the midfield it's going to be Jones. I think Jones is nailed in that
Jones,
midfield at the moment. I think it's going to be Max, Sob, and Jones because he's a big fan. Obviously, Jones played a lot of the game as well. You've got to remember that. But you know, the midfield seems pretty set right now, and he seems pretty happy with it. And it'd be a surprise to me if Gravenberch plays. I thought he came off, and I thought maybe Klopp does that when he wants players rested, but you never know. But I think Jones, with the performance he had midweek, I think we are. But I think Gakpo starts up top for this game, get in sort of in between the midfield and the defence, and then get in the box. I think, and then come Nunes later on. I think that's the vibe that Klopp's going for. What do you think?
I reckon two holding. So I reckon he's going to go Mac and Endo,
Right. Okay.
uh, like a deep midfield.
Yeah.
Soboslai
Yeah.
obviously at the front of like a midfield trio. Obviously Salah and Diaz will have to help out on the wings, but do their job that they do going forward. And against Tottenham, see, I think Gakpo, because I think he'll want the ball held up as much as possible in their half rather than ours. And I don't think our other two boys are as good as Gakpo is
Yeah.
doing that. I think he might put him as a number 9.
And I think when you've got Sergio Romero on their team, not
Yeah.
Sergio, Christian Romero, sorry, he's a wind-up merchant. And the last thing I want is Nunes
Nunes
getting
getting
turned
sent off,
around,
yeah.
giving him one of them again. And I think that
Yeah.
Gakpo with his feet, quick on the ball in the box, I think it'd be a nightmare for Romero to deal with. And I can see him swiping at him a few times. Whereas Nunes, I think, he'll have a bit in his ear, obviously South America.
Yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
it's not the
You're
right, game for him to play, especially in that. But I think regardless, the team seems to be gelling really well at the moment. And regardless of who we put in, it's doing well. But it's like you said, it's a matter
And
of
even when
making.
he rotates it, like 60,
Yeah,
70 minutes, they seem to come on and get even to a next level. So, yeah,
yeah,
we can't argue with what he's doing at the moment.
yeah. Should we move on to predictions then? What we thinking for the
Go
game?
on then. Did we make predictions for the last one, for the West Ham one?
Yeah, for the West, I
What
went
did
for a
you say?
2-2. You had like a 4-3 bloodbath going on or something like
Did
that.
I?
Yeah.
I swear I said 3-1.
Nah, you had some like 4-3 bloodbath going on, I swear.
I got 2-2 this week. I'm going
2-2.
2-2.
All right, okay.
I'm going
What do you
draw.
reckon? Who's scoring?
Uh, Soboslai free kick and
Okay.
then Salah penalty.
Oh, I mean, Szoboszlai smacked a few into the wall the other week, and I thought I was entertaining considering he normally gets him in when he's on international duty. I think that's a
Yeah.
good shout to be fair. I think it's going to be a 2-1 to us, but I think they're going to score first, and I think it's going to be a really tough game. It's going to go
That
on
sounds
really
like a
long.
tough game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's going
that
to be
sounds
they
like a tough
score
game.
first away, and I think in about 10 minutes, 5 minutes even, Liverpool score 2, almost like the Newcastle game. Won't look like they've been in it, and I think they'll score 2 and come out with a smashing
You
grand
went for
win.
a repeat of
Yeah,
Newcastle, basically.
definitely. I think that's the thing that Postecoglou fears, and I think it's the thing that Liverpool could probably come out with because, or it could be the other way around where Spurs just turn it in 10 minutes, like they did with Arsenal, just out of
Yeah.
nowhere. They just managed to turn the game completely. I think it's going to be a really interesting game. I think Liverpool should be able to get a result. Just hope we don't concede
Yeah.
first and make it difficult.
I would love it. I would love it if we just everyone's thinking it's going to be a tough game and this is Liverpool's first challenge. I would love it if we just absolutely smashed
Never
them to
know.
pieces and
Stranger
everyone's just
things have
like,
happened.
all right, man. You know what I mean? What
Yeah.
a statement to make, though, innit? If we go away and we just absolutely smash a team that's
Well,
been
they
playing.
beat United, got a result against Arsenal. They got City coming up soon. It's one of those things where you really have to stake a claim now, as we've said.
Well, this is the thing. If we get that 3 points away, which hopefully, I know I've predicted 2-2, but if we can get the 3 points and then they go and play City and they get a draw, then we're back to square one, aren't we? And then these are the kind of games that we need to be winning to stay in touch with this machine of City that just don't stop,
Yeah,
winning.
definitely. I think,
Yeah.
like as we mentioned, it's going to be a great game to tune in. It'll be a great game that we'll be reviewing as well. So thank you very much. We've had a lot
No
to talk
worries.
about this week. A lot of wins, a lot of great things that Liverpool have been doing. But I'm sure we'll be back next week where hopefully Liverpool have got the result we wanted and hopefully City have slipped up as well. Thank you, Anil, for your time as always. It's
No worries,
always
guys.
enjoyed. Hopefully you don't get too excited about Szoboszlai as well, but we'll
No
have to.
promises.
Yeah,
No
we'll have to keep
promises.
that up there. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for another edition of the Aapna Reds podcast.
See you later, man.